the company does not promote me, my life is boring. That's the easy way. The hard way is, how do I keep motivated? How do I balance my life? These both things are tied, because if you have a balanced life, you can do a better job in clinical research.
Hey, podcast listeners, ready to level up your career game? This podcast is brought to you by Granular Level, your ultimate TMF professionals. Need a killer CV, a magnetic LinkedIn profile, eager to learn the eTMF or expert advice on mock interviews? Don't just dream it, achieve it with Granular Level. Let's craft your success story together. Welcome back, TMF Daily enthusiasts. Today we're talking about the clinical research job market. It's tough out there. When employers used to get 100 applicants for a job posting, they are now receiving 400 to 500 within a few hours of posting the job description. Well, the guest I have today is going to give us great insight into this tough job market. Dante Alducin is the founder and CEO of Blast Academy, a company dedicated to providing soft skills training to professionals from the pharmaceutical industry. Blast offers personalized mentoring programs and customized courses for various regions where they have an impressive 90% success rate in student placements. Dante is revolutionizing clinical research education with his innovative approach, which has gained recognition worldwide. In 2021, Dante was awarded and named the top 100 Visionaries in education for his exceptional contributions to the education industry. Dante has his own podcast called Radio Blast, where he analyzes the labor market and provides tips, strategies, and material to land a job in the clinical research industry. Prior to Blast Academy, Dante served as a clinical research associate overseeing clinical trials. Dante, welcome to the TMF Daily Podcast.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks for inviting me today. It's very good for me to be here with all you guys. But I'm very excited for this.
We are excited to have you on the show today. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey in the pharmaceutical industry that's led up to founding of Blast Academy?
Of course, Nicole. I started as clinical research intern very short time before I finished my education in university. I spent 6 months in a company that it's now called Acuvia, and in that time the company was called Quintiles. But I got sick, so I have to leave the company after a 6-month period. I finished my career. I want to return to clinical research. I discovered this world of clinical research, but I faced a problem. I don't have enough experience to be a CRA. That was the job position that I want, but I cannot be a clinical research trainee again because I was not in the university anymore. So I was trapped in this kind of limbo, and I tried very hard around almost 1 year to start my career in clinical research. What I said to all my students is that I have a record in clinical research. I probably was the first person that all CROs say no. So, and not just the CROs, many pharmaceutical companies. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking at that time, what I'm doing wrong. What is wrong with me? Because I know people from my university that was starting their career very easily. And I just applied, and many times I didn't receive any kind of response. And sometimes I just got into the interview and cannot go into the final step to get hired. It was at the time very frustrating. Nothing can stop me. I just have try and change things. And eventually I got to start my career in clinical research. And after that, for me, it's like Wonderland. It was an amazing new world. So I started my 2 years less clinical research assistant, and then I was promoted to CRA. And there I start stepping into the career of the clinical research associate. I really love this job. And what I told my students these days is that it's totally subjective perception. For me, the CRA is the coolest job in the world. Yeah, it's totally subjective. And also, I told them that this is a job that is not for everybody. You have to resolve conflicts. You have to master very special skills in order to be successful in this job. So the years start passing. Eventually, I have to interview new candidates for entry-level positions. And what I saw is that there are many talented people out there. Their focus is not the correct for the industry at the time they are applying. So I cannot say, okay, you are suited for this job. And I start thinking there should be some kind of school that teach people all these kind of things, because nobody has changed since I left the schools. There's nobody teaching the new talents how they can start their career in clinical research. And the industry itself is not helping, because industry talks their own language, and people that want to start their career speaks their own language, scientific language. So they are not matching, and there are a lot of suffering in the meantime. At one time in the company I was working, there was an acquisition for another company. So all positions were reorganizing, and they told me, okay, thank you for your services. Now you're free to fly. Okay, perfect. So what I decided, instead of looking for another position in clinical research, was to take sabbatical time. Well, I have on my bucket list to do around the world trip. So I start my trip around the world. I started actually in Washington. I had a friend that lived at the time in Washington, D.C. I flew to Iceland and then to Europe. And well, I just moved until Finland. And from Finland, I took a train. This train takes me through all Russia, Mongolia, China, and I finished the train rail in Shanghai. After Shanghai, I decided to go to Japan, and I spent some time in Japan. It was like a detox after many years of clinical research. I was just thinking two things at the time. I just don't want to hear more Spanish. I just tired from Spanish, and I'm just tired of clinical research. Why? Why this is? Because very well, Nicole, this industry puts a lot of pressure on their shoulders. And over the time, what I always tell, not just my students, but my friends in clinical research, is you have to take your time off, but long time off, in order to recharge you. So I was thinking, well, I really love clinical research, but if I follow in this way, maybe I don't love anymore clinical research. Why? Because I don't see myself as a clinical trial manager or something. There are not things that goes with me, because what I liked was to be on investigational sites, traveling, crossing data, speaking with the principal investigators. I would like to be on the road, but to be a CRA was not anymore a challenge. So I was thinking what I have to do, and then suddenly from nothing, I just think, well, maybe I have to take some time off from clinical research. So I returned to my country and I got a job offer. And I said, okay, I just want to think this more time and then I will make my move. So I returned to clinical research. It was originally 1 year. At the end were 3 years as senior CRA. At one time I said, okay, this is enough. I have to make a change. And I start a travel agency. I just take people from here, from Mexico to Norway in winter. So we want to see, the Northern Lights, to go with these dog sledges. I really like it. This was really fun. This was marching very well until arrives COVID-19. All the tourism industry just collapsed from one day to another. And I told myself, what's next? Okay, I always can return to be a CRA. Everywhere CRAs are needed. Mm-hmm. This is my backup plan. I really like to teach, and I have this idea. There's nobody teaching people from a university or other background how to adapt into the clinical research needs. why should I not try that? That's how I start Blast Academy.
Wow. I had no idea. Oh my goodness. So let's back up a little bit because you just unpacked a lot right there.
Yeah.
So your first job in clinical research, you were an assistant.
Yeah.
And then you got promoted to a CRA.
Yeah.
So how long were you an assistant till you became a CRA?
It was like a half a year or 2 years, as far as I remember.
What was the true inspiration behind establishing Blast Academy? There was just a lack of teaching in clinical research.
One of the tasks that I most enjoy as a CRA was to train new people. To train people on site, to train people in the office. And I say this is a natural skill for me to teach people. That's an irony that I did not train as much people as I would like as a CRA. So why not to try? I'm good at teaching people. There's also some kind of entity, some kind of school company that fills this gap between talents and industry. And I know all the steps you need in order to start your career in clinical research. So say, why not?
You went all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, it's a challenging job market right now. And what challenges are you seeing that clinical research professionals are facing in the job market for clinical research roles?
For new talents or the people that also have experience in clinical research?
Both.
Well, for new talents, I think it's the mindset is to switch your mind from hard scientific background, this basic research, into clinical research. The industry mindset is totally different from academic mindset. So there are people that are able to change this mindset in more subtle way, and there are people that are facing more challenge to change this mindset. Why? Because all the people with scientific background are told to be very rigid. And when you discover all this part from industry, what you learn is that you have to master soft skills. And soft skills are the opposite thing. So you have to learn in a very different way. And for the people that had experience, I think their main challenge is to keep motivated through all the years. Many people that start their career very motivated, that over the years they just feel more, they're advancing in inertia, that they're just, the company is pulling them. They lose the old interest. So I think it's crucial that you find motivation in your job every day in order to be able to see a better future for you in the industry.
How do you stay positive when you're constantly getting those rejection letters? Like, what do you recommend? Because a lot of people get stuck in this rut where they're constantly like, I didn't get the job. Here's another one. And they're getting sort of down on themselves. How do you stay positive?
Well, what I recommend to myself first at that time when I have that ton of rejections, what I was thinking is if the people I know is getting the job, it's because it's possible. Then there's something they're not doing well. What I'm doing wrong. So what I did is try new things and look for information at the time, what I can do to improve my resume, to improve my interviews. Besides that, I said, if I surrender, I'm also surrendering my dreams. I really want to be a CRA. I'm just keeping myself. I cannot fail at this at the end. So I have to keep trying and trying. And then eventually, of course, I reach the goal. And what I told my students also is that they are not their results. They get frustrated because they don't get the immediate results. And in many cases, this is not possible because nobody teaches you how to face a job interview. For example, what I told my students is that at the time I just left the university, if you ask me about bacteria and viruses and all those things, I was a master. But nobody told me how to negotiate a salary, for example, which were my rights as a worker in the industry. This is a new world for them. And I told them it is normal. you will be rejected, but it's not about you. It's about that a new skills that you're learning and applying. So don't get upset. Just try and try and try. And I also do with my students is that I provide them a mentoring for the classes. They can consult me about the job vacancies. They can consult me about how they prepare an interview, things like that. So they don't face this hiring process alone. They are always in company and they're always being cheering up by us. This is a very important thing because much of the performance drop of your recruitment process is also about how you're cheering up about yourself and about the process.
You make a good point that it's all in your mindset and just not giving up and keeping your eye on that goal. And doesn't matter how many rejections you get, you're going to keep going no matter what. And I love that. That's such good advice. Can you share some tips for preparing a standout resume for clinical research roles?
Sure. If this would be your first job in the industry, you have to pay attention, firstly, in the job description. A lot of different companies knows their positions as they want it. For some, these entry-level positions are, for example, clinical trial coordinator, or there are CTAs, SMAs, whatever. So firstly, don't look into the position name. Look on the first 3 or 4 bullets of what they are, the activities they are performing. And the first bullets that all the things they need that you have as background for the job. So this is the way you can identify this is an entry-level position, because many people that don't know about this world apply for more senior positions and they just got rejection. So first, identify the entry-level positions, then use these bullets to build your resume. And what I told my students is they always have to make themselves a question with every piece of information they put in the resume. Is this thing adding me? Is this thing is going to add in me points into the eyes of the reviewer at the time of interview? Yes or no? And if this piece of information does not add points, just delete it. No mercy. Just delete it, because less is more. And your resume has to be focused on the job description. So this is one tip. The other tip is your resume has to be oriented into achievements. What I just mean with achievements, it's, for example, with the writing courses. In a writing course, they tell you, show, don't tell. This is the same. If you write, I'm good with time management, you're saying nothing. Everybody points, I'm good at time management or teamwork. Whatever. So show them how you really master the skills. When was that time when you, thanks to your time management, achieved some kind of gold? When was the time when your teamwork achieved some kind of gold? And put that into the resume. That makes you different from all the people that are applying to the job at the same time as you.
Yes, tell the story. Don't just say you're good at time management. Give the story and the reason why you're good at time management.
Exactly.
Love that. What do you think the key skills and qualities employers are looking for when they're hiring someone in clinical research?
Well, I think the first one, and we have an exercise in our trainings. What I told is to my students, look into the CRO's hiring pages, look for job vacancy and open it. We are going to analyze this job vacancy. So most of these job vacancies for entry-level positions are more or less the same, but in different words. Remarkably for me is very frequently the first bullet is in simple words. You have to be able to read very well and follow the rules, the processes. This may sound like a joke. You have to be able to read, but it's a tricky point because what I saw that most of these people that start their career in clinical research, a very nasty enemy they have is their ego, because they said, okay, I'm a PhD, I have a master. How are you telling me that I have to read? That's stupid. No, it's not stupid. You really have to understand the SOPs and you have to be able to apply this into processes. In fact, the very simple point is challenging for many of my students because they have to know their skills to this very basic. But it's the entry-level position basic. You have to read this document, understand what they're asking you, and then doing it. It sounds simple, but it's not so simple. I think it's one. The other skill, I think, is how you manage your time. And there also comes very frequent questions in the interviews. How do you manage your time? What do you do when something changes your schedule? Because in clinical research, it could be a nightmare. Studies change. So you have to adapt your time management. So it's not enough to say it and describe how you manage your time. You have to be able to say what happens if something disrupts their schedule you have set out for the week, for the month. And of course, you have to be able to work very well with your teammates. The ability you have to master. There are frequently a lot of tension between team members. There are always deadlines and tasks that are urgent. You have to prioritize clinical research assistant to everybody at the same time. Not just how you prioritize this, how you communicate with people. And you have actually formed a true team with all your colleagues. I think it's also a very key skill for this position. And I think also is how you have to put attention to details, because as an assistant, you are going to review a ton of documents. And you have to be able to read paragraph after paragraph and then compare with another document and say which are the differences. And how do you identify the quality checks to say this is okay, this is not okay, can you please change this document, etc. So I think those are the main skills that are needed for an entry-level positions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people say, oh, I have attention to detail, but they don't have attention to detail till you get them in the hot seat in clinical research. And then they realize the minute attention to detail.
I was saying that it was related to the first point. You have to be able to read.
Exactly. That's actually a really good test, is like you said, read the job description and give them exactly what they're looking for. And the correlation that you tied in with SOP is, can you follow this procedure, this process, this system? That's the first test, because if you can't, you're out. You're in the rejection pile. When people are looking at those job descriptions and they're checking off, yep, I got this, I got this, I got this. What do you recommend? Like, is there a certain percentage that they should sort of check that box of, yes, I got this, I should apply? Or do you think they should meet all of their requirements?
Okay, well, I think if they are able to tell a story about each point, then is that you are matching on these points. But if you cannot tell a story, maybe you have to work more in some kind of these points. For example, like a lab practice with my mates. So how can we reach an agreement in who are doing what in order to get this practice? There's a story I can tell. It could be simple, but if I cannot remember a time when I have to work with other person as a team, well, maybe I have to keep gathering experience about that point. And the same goes for the other points. Why? Because we human beings learn through stories. If we can give examples to the people that are reviewing our documentation or the people that we are in the interview, then it means that we have this ability.
It leaves room for opportunity to grow.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's back up a little bit and talk about soft skills. What specific soft skills does Blast Academy focus on its training programs, and why are soft skills so important?
I will start with what are so important. And as I told you before, for all the people with scientific background, from one way or another, we were told that soft skills are useless because it's hard science. And we keep that mindset. Most of the people keep that mindset in the industry. And this is the origin of many problems because there are many people that cannot communicate in a good way, that people that cannot de-escalate conflicts and many other things. In Blast, we focused in different kind of skills depending of our training. We have basic training that are an employability training. We call it Start 01. We teach people can review their experience, even if this experience is just academic, and how they tell the company about the experience in the language that speaks the company. You have say it is, is how you work as a team, how you manage your time, how you can read and follow instructions. But in more advanced courses, we have clinical research training program called in Monitoring Year 1. At the beginning, I don't want to open this program. Our students told me, you have to open this program. We need this. I say, no, I don't want it. And there was a reason. Because I don't know how it's in the States, but here in Mexico, the very few programs that teach CRAs, they're useless. Why they are useless? They teach you good clinical practices, they teach you essential documents. That's a very tiny part of the program. Most of the programs are, for example, pharmacology. Okay, you have a very simple basis of pharmacology, but not 8 months of pharmacology. At the end, people don't know how to conduct a monitoring visit after this training. I don't want to do the same. I said, I don't have to do that. I can really teach how to people. In fact, I have to teach people how to be a good CRA. CRA that found issues and issues and issues, but the CRA that makes a team with the investigational side and resolve that issues. A CRA that can manage conflict. Of course, we have to teach the basics, the GCPs, essential documents, investigation, product management. But besides that, we focus on how can you communicate with the site personnel? How do you face conflict with the principal investigator? What are you going to do if the sponsor gets angry? Or if your manager tells you, no, tomorrow you're going to the site and you're going to do a stupid amount of work. No, this is not a good way. How we negotiate it into a better solution. How do you escalate conflict? So this is key abilities for a CRA, but nobody's teaching that. So we say, and of course, on my experience, what I saw is the CRAs, of course, they can cross data, but also the people that de-escalate conflict and could make a good team with their manager, with the sponsor, with the investigational site, and what's what we want to teach them. And that's the soft skills that we focused on the CRA program, And in fact, we have a specialized program. This program is specialized in monitoring oncology studies. And you have a special approach for oncology studies with the principal investigator, with all the site staff. There are changes. And we also, despite all these hard skills, knowledge that we teach them, we also teach them the soft skills that requires this kind of studies.
I love that about your program because it's not all textbook about what a CRA does. It's real practical situations. You're on site. You're dealing with a difficult study coordinator. You can't get those essential documents. How are we going to de-escalate, be on the same team, work together?
In fact, the final project or our CRA program was to simulate monitoring visit. From the confirmation letter, you arrive virtually to the site. You don't all the tasks that you would normally do at an investigational site, reviewing essential documents, review medical history. Even we have a CRF. It's a mock CRF, but still we have CRF. You can raise queries. You have to have a meeting with the site staff. And the site staff is not going to be easy with you. You have to apply what you see in class. Then You write monitoring report and a follow-up letter. And finally, after that, you have a one-to-one meeting with your teachers. This is to review your performance and also to provide you advice in order to help you to achieve your next step in your clinical research career.
Let's talk about networking. How important is networking in finding job opportunities in the clinical research industry?
Networking is the key, as simple as that. Many of my students, when I told them that networking is key in order to achieve this first job, they told me, well, I don't know nobody in the industry. So how do I build a networking? So in our training programs, we have different kind of activities in order to help other students to know each other. At this point, we have students in all the CROs in the country and in many pharmaceutical companies. This is really helpful for everyone because new students that they don't know nobody in the industry, they actually build their own network. And students with experience, they can provide new students with opportunities. How this works. If you refer to somebody, even if these people gets hired, you receive a bonus. So everybody wins. So every day our networking is bigger and bigger and bigger. I can give you or give your audience a tip if you say, well, I don't know nobody in clinical research. What you have is LinkedIn. So log in into LinkedIn and look for people that actually works in clinical research and contact with them. But don't just send them an invitation. Just write a little note in the invitation you're going to send them. Tell them that that you want to start your career in the industry and you see they have experience. And any kind of advice they can provide you is very welcome. And you will see how many people will respond to your message. Because what I have discovered, Nicole, is that most people in the industry wants to help other people, especially the new ones.
That is a really good tip. I know that a lot of people, they network wrong, and it's all in the message. And the way that you worded that was really good. It's not, hey, can you get me a job?
Yeah.
Because that's what you see a lot.
Yeah.
It's all in the approach of introducing yourself and asking for advice, not a job. What would you recommend for someone in my shoes who is looking for position X, Y, and Z?
Exactly. Please don't ask for a job. Not the way that people don't know you. You have to build a relationship and you have to provide help if you can help them in some way. You have to build a relationship and then you ask for something.
So what strategies can professionals use to stay competitive in this job market?
Just to be curious. Why I tell you this? Many people may tell you, oh, you have to do a master degree or something, or I don't know, whatever. To be curious at the first sight may not be related to clinical research, but if you still stay curious and open different paths, eventually you can. I will give you an example. I really, really like photography. Of course, I really like to travel. And I really like to read about anything. And you say how that will improve your career in clinical research. When I start Blast Academy, I have to do everything. My pictures, I have to do everything. So these additional skills help me in order to master the key element that I have to master in order to be successful in this small business that is Blast Academy and is digital marketing. If I would not learn digital marketing and just be a professional in clinical research, I would not be able to rise Blast Academy to the top because there are different skills that you do not learn in clinical research. So what happened, I had all this additional background. So I tied it with my clinical research experience. And that's why it makes it grow at Blast Academy. This works not only if you want to start an entrepreneurship. This works if you want to stay in clinical research because you have your mind open and you can adding more different kind of things into your daily life. And they will give you a different point of view. And if you learn have to capitalize this knowledge. This could take you very far.
That's a good point. Sharpening that axe, adding more tools in the toolbox, and see how it ties all together. And really utilizing those transferable skills and marketing yourself to show that you have what it takes to be in that particular role.
Yeah, of course. And you can learn from other industries. When I started this business, I met a lot of people from other industries. And when I see what's their mindset, it's very different from clinical research. But I told myself, wow, if I have that piece of mindset in clinical research, I could be advanced very far. So the more from different things that are not clinical research, believe me, it will help.
Exactly. What role does lifelong learning play in maintaining career longevity and success in the clinical research field?
Well, I think it's this related about the motivation. If you are not growing, I think you're slowly dying. We are designed, our brains are designed to grow, to learn, to develop. If we are in some kind of repetitive job, as we see some kind of jobs in clinical research, with the time, it's probable that we are not being enough motivated. And it's very easy for us to say, oh, the company does not motivate me. The company does not promote me. Oh, my life is boring. That's the easy way. The hard way is, how do I keep motivated? How do I balance my life? These both things are tied, because if you have a balanced life, you can do a better job in clinical research. I know many people that their life is just to work in clinical research, and they don't have a life outside that. What happened? This kind of life depersonalize you. At the time, and these are very sad times when I saw these people are let it go by their companies. There's people just want to die. It says, I don't know myself without this job. And it's very important to understand that you are not your job. The job is part. And in order to do this, you have to keep motivated and have a balanced life. So it's very, very important to keep learning, not just for your job, from other things. And in that way, keep you motivated and have another areas that supports you in case your job is no more the next day.
I've got one more question for you. What's the best career advice you've ever received?
Wow, that's a good one question. I have received not many. I have received few, but to pick up the best, I remember this. You can learn from everybody, even the things that you don't have to do. Why is that? Because I'm very good at my job. All the other people are not so good, so I'm not going to. It's not so extreme that I'm not going to talk to them, but more or less. So they not pay attention to the people that think that are not at their level. When I received this piece of advice, that was from my first manager. Actually, I was a clinical research assistant at the time. And I said, yeah, she's right. And I started talking and learning from all the people. And yeah, from the people that everybody knows that their job is not the best. But also these people have many things to teach you. If you think, why are they doing this? I can do this in this way, not that way. And yes, in fact, you can learn from everybody, even the things you don't have to do.
I love that. That is really good advice. Well, Dante, thank you so much for joining me on the TMF Daily Podcast. I loved our conversation about navigating this job market. Where's the best place for people to get in touch with you?
Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me, Nicole. I really enjoyed this talk. I really hope to be helpful. And you can find me on LinkedIn. You can send me a direct message and I will answer to you.
All right, we'll put that all in the show notes and make it super easy for everybody. This is your host, Nicole Palmer, signing off.